Hi, my name is Anna and welcome back to my channel. Since I have started reviewing ARCs within the last year, I have been looking into new releases a lot more than I used to, and I thought it would be fun to start sharing some of the books that I am coming across that will be coming out this year. Because there are so many, I am going to break it up into quarters. So we are going to talk about some anticipated releases for quarter two. I think I have a list of 11 books at the moment. So all of these books will be coming out between April and June of this year. And I have a variety of genres here. I'm just going to go in order of release date. So we're going to start with April. I think I only have one saved for April. So this first book is called The Girl Upstairs by Jessica R. Patch. This is a Christian thriller, which I have never read a Christian thriller before, but I would love to. It is always so nice coming across mystery thrillers that don't have a lot of profanity or that are too graphic or gory. And that's kind of my hope and expectation for a Christian thriller. So I would love to give this one a try. So for this one, this book is set in Maine, where the main character, Gwen, was previously a homicide detective, and her husband are fixing up a house and trying to repair their marriage. And as they are starting to do some work on this house, Gwen starts seeing and hearing things in this house and comes across this message written in the floorboards under this old carpet in their attic. And as she is starting to piece things together, she is learning some things about this house and about a girl that had gone missing. I had originally requested this on NetGalley. However, I did withdraw my request because after rereading the synopsis, it sounded like there is possibly maybe some paranormal aspects to this book. And if there is, I would end up DNFing it. And I would prefer to avoid doing that with ARCs. So I think I am going to wait and see more reviews and what people have to say about it once it comes out. And then if it sounds like maybe it's not paranormal, I will pick it up. But after I read some reviews in it, if it seems like it's a safe one, I will pick that up and hopefully find more Christian thrillers, because that is something that interests me. The release date for this book is April 28th. The next book I found is called Into a Golden Era by Gabrielle Meyer. This is a Christian romance, which I don't really reach for romance. I'm not a romance girly, but this sounds so good. This is actually book 7 in a series. When I realized that, I went on to Goodreads and searched for this series. It's a timeless series. I ended up adding book 1 to my TBR. I don't know if these could be standalones. They almost sound like they could be, but I am going to read them in order just because it's me, and I would prefer to just start with book 1. I had never heard of the series before, but it sounds like all of the books are time travel. It sounds like each book follows a different main character. I don't know if they're all connected somehow, but each book has someone different. The idea is that these characters are able to travel in time, and they jump back and forth between 2 different time periods. I think even one of them said 3 different time periods. And once they reach a certain birthday, like 25 or 21, they have to decide which time period they want to stay in. And if I'm remembering correctly, the characters will live one day in one time period, and they go to bed and they wake up the next day in the other time period, and just switches back and forth. They're essentially living 2 completely different lives, and they have to decide which life they want to continue with once they hit a certain age. And wow, that sounds so good. So I will definitely be picking up the first book. But if you have read the series, the 7th one comes out May 5th. This next book is called June Baby by Shannon Garvey. This is a literary fiction. This book follows Ruth, who, when she was 17, lost her mother to cancer, and her dad sent her off to this wealthy beach town to stay with this woman named Diana for the summer. But this place ends up becoming a refuge to her, and she ends up meeting Diana's nephew. and falling in love for the first time. And over the next 10 years, she continues to go back every summer and live and work in this town. Then something tragic happens. I'm assuming that Diana ends up passing, and she reconnects with Diana's nephew and starts learning some things about Diana. It's pretty much just a story of love and grief. It sounds like a very summery book. And I love that a lot of these books actually that I have seen coming out within the next few months are like summary reads, and I am all for a good summary read during the summer. I think that's the mood reader in me. So this one releases May 12th. Okay, the next book is called Whistler by Ann Patchett. This is a literary fiction. This story is about reconnection between our main character Daphne and her stepfather. So Daphne's mother and stepfather were married for about a year, I think is what it said, when she was a child, and she is now in her 50s and she runs into her stepdad again. And there's some major event that happens that has this huge, like, profound effect on her and her stepdad. And now that they've reconnected, it sounds like the book is going to be about their history and that year that they spent together and their lives since this event happened. This is also the author of Tom Lake and Commonwealth, both of which I have not read, but I've seen a lot around the book community. So if you've read those and enjoy them, she is coming out with a new book. The release date for this is June 2nd. The next one is a little bit of a weird one. So this is called, I think it's called Expartum. It's called Expartum by Emma Burnett. This is a sci-fi. And this one sounds very strange, but I'm here for it. It's about a child of a new mother who isn't meeting the social norms of a community. And this mother feels very isolated and is trying to help her child meet the expectations of this community, which it mentions in the synopsis includes switching to eating NutriBulbs, whatever that is. But her child is refusing, and everyone is starting to ask questions. It's starting to threaten their way of life. So this one sounds totally weird, but every so often, I love a weird story. And something about this is reminding me of a movie that I watched. Oh my gosh, what was the name of that movie? It's called Don't Worry, Darling. Is that what it's called? Don't Worry, Darling? Yes. It was such a strange movie, and I remember, I don't think my husband and my in-laws liked it, but I liked it. I thought that it was so good, and I don't think that this book is a lot like that, but I think just the idea that they are in this community that expects you to live a very specific way, and in the movie, you don't know why at first, but they're living in this community that the husbands all go to work at the same time. They all have like the same looking houses, and the wives are all housewives, and they all dress the same, and they basically stay home and clean their already clean houses, and then their husbands come back and they have dinner, and like they occasionally will do like parties or dinner parties or something, but everything's just very precise and things are happening in very specific ways, and you just don't go outside of those norms. And that's the part of that movie that I'm thinking of when I read the synopsis to this book. But anyway, it sounds weird and interesting, and I'm definitely adding that to my TBR. I don't know how far out there it's going to be. Sci-fi has to be very specific for me. If it's too crazy, I can't get into it. For example, Star Wars, I couldn't do it. I really tried, and it's just too sci-fi for me. So this one sounds like it should be okay. The release date for this one is June 2nd. The next book is called Tell Your Friends by Lauren Wilson. This is a mystery thriller. So the main character, Crystal, grew up in like a vlogging family and is now off to college, where she is hoping to kind of escape this world that her mom built for her. But when she leaves, her mom pretty much insists that she continue filming her life for content. So Crystal decides that she is going to pretty much expose the truth behind her family's vlogging channel or their real life or something. And while she's at college, she makes a friend who is actually a big fan of the channel and agrees to help Crystal with a like a quote unquote project, I guess. But when she realizes that Crystal is actually trying to ruin this world that her mom has built, she wants to stop it. And so as these girls are going about this project with two completely different goals, things start coming to light about each other and about this family. I have read a couple other books about social media influencers or someone famous doing something. It has been a hit or miss for me. So the idea usually sounds interesting enough for me to want to pick up the book, but I also do hesitate a little bit just because when I go into a book, I don't always want to read about social media, but typically for some reason it draws me in. So I think I probably will give this one a try, but I am going to wait for the reviews on that. This one releases June 2nd. The next book is called Liberty Street by Heather Marshall. This is a general fiction. It's a dual timeline between 1961 and 1996. And is actually based on a true story. It follows a journalist in 1961 who receives a letter from an inmate in a women's prison. The synopsis says, but after going undercover to investigate the inmate's shocking claims, Emily discovers that getting into the prison is the easy part. The real challenge will be getting back out. It sounds so good. Then in 1996, it follows a woman named Rachel, who is a detective working on a case involving an unmarked grave that leads her to this now closed women's prison. So I am very curious what the connection between those two are. This book releases on June 16th. Next up is The Last Time We Saw Her by Jacqueline Goldis. This is a mystery thriller. I love a summer camp thriller, and that sounds like what we're getting here. It's about a group of teenagers who visit an island and are in search of this like hidden treasure. But one of the girls goes missing and is never found. And so this same group of friends goes back to this island in memory of their friend, and they agree to a documentary following what may have happened to their friend that disappeared. But the documentary starts turning up some secrets and some things about this supposed hidden treasure. It starts bringing like old feuds to the surface. And then one of these friends turns up dead again. A lot of mystery in this one. This book will be published on June 16th. The next book I came across is called The Housewife by Natalie Borelli. And this is also a mystery thriller. In this book, we follow Jody, who marries a wealthy psychologist whose first wife passed away. She is now a housewife, but his friends look down on her. He becomes very distant, and she is starting to suspect that her husband had something to do with his late wife's passing. And so she is now trapped and trying to find a way out. I feel like I've read a lot of books like this, but I keep reaching for them anyway. I love a good domestic thriller, so this is just another one to add to that list. This one releases June 30th. Second to last is called The Washashores by Hannah McKinnon. And this is a general fiction. And this is another summary book. It is following Holly, who is set to inherit her grandma's inn on Cape Cod. But her grandma doesn't know if she is actually the right person to take it over. And so her grandma is giving her a chance to test run running this inn. So during that summer, they will be hosting a really well-known family whose daughter is getting married. On top of this, Holly runs into Ben, who is a childhood friend from her summers there. And the last that she had heard, he was engaged. This is not listed as a romance. However, I have a feeling we're going to get some of that in this. It sounds very cute. It sounds hopefully pretty wholesome. I really wouldn't mind finding a book this summer that is a wholesome romance that isn't just romance. Like, that's not the main plot of the book, but maybe something with like romance on the side. That I don't mind in books, and that would actually be very cute for this summer. This also releases June 30th. And our last book that I have is The Secret Thread by Eve Chase. This is another mystery thriller. This is a dual timeline between 2024 and 1969. It follows Jo, who is a young writer, and she is hired by Mimi, who is an elderly widow, and she is starting to auction off her possessions. And she is known for being a very private person, but she hires Jo to collect the stories behind all of these possessions to help tell the story of Mimi's life. But as Jo is going through these stories, she is finding some dark and suspicious events that occurred as Mimi and her sister were raised by their parents, who are working as gardeners for this wealthy estate. And I am wondering if that estate happens to be the one that she is living in now. This book also releases June 30th. So those are all of the books that I currently have on my radar right now. I do think I might request one or two of these on NetGalley. I'm thinking maybe June Baby and Whistler would be good ones. I hesitate to request thrillers just because if they are too much for me, I'm not going to continue them. I'm trying to avoid DNFing arcs as much as I possibly can. So far, I have not done that. So if I do end up requesting any, I will share about that in some future videos. But in the meantime, I am adding all these to my TBR, and I am excited to hopefully get to at least a few of them this year. If any of these sound interesting to you, let me know if there's any that you're adding to your TBR now that you've heard of them, or if there are any other books that are coming out that you have heard of sometime between April and June. I would love to hear about them too. So please feel free to leave those in the comments. This was so much fun to put together, and I am looking forward to doing a quarter 3 when we get there. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.